I
not dreads, but almost like curls, or I don't remember.
It's not Isaiah. Isaiah?
I can't remember. He's one of the kids that's participating in the strategic planning.
Yeah.
So I sat with him, very quiet, but we talked a lot about basketball. Cause I said I knew it. He's like, oh, really? Yeah.
I had their number for the longest time. We beat them.
They're gonna be good this year,
I
he
know.
said.
Yeah.
I said, wow, you got, baseball was good last year, now you got soccer and basketball. He said, yeah, you're gonna be really good. Just, he's a big kid. He was
All right, it's 7:30. Let's call the meeting to order.
Yeah.
Pledge.
Rob's here.
Rob's here.
Wait a minute. I think he's right there.
He was on the phone.
Butch.
Yes. Can't get it.
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
When you are ready.
Karen Tynas,
Here.
Joanna Donahue,
Here.
Tim Parrish,
Here.
Rod Parrish,
Here.
Lita Drain,
Here. Number 4, any public comments? All right, number 5, road district warrants for approval for payment tonight, November 16th, in the amount of $119,486.34.
Make a motion that we pull out 6 of those bills.
Which 6 and why?
Dave Mead for the pavers for their gazebo.
Oh, shit.
Tractor Supply for their 12 tall fescues.
Wait, I'm sorry, why don't I have the,
You want me to grab
You wanna grab him? You want me to get him?
no, I'm just gonna run that, go ahead.
Dave Mead, the pavers, $1,875.
Pavers?
Pavers.
Oh, pavers.
Tractor Supply, 12 tall fescues, $1,199. The Kirby Built Company for the benches, $12,203. And then Fisher Concrete for a concrete pad that was poured out here within the last month for $649. Total would be $15,926.
15,012, what?
$15,926.
That's only 4 bills, right? Or did some of those?
Right.
Okay,
Pull those out.
Okay.
And then I would like 2 other ones pulled out to Geske and Sons. One was $6,307.59. The other one is $17,479.05. Everything else would be on consent agenda, one shot, done.
Why?
Because I want the park to be an individual vote. The Geske bill.
Oh, you wanted separate votes.
so we can have discussion on the
Right.
6 he pulled out.
So
Right.
you want 3,
Everything else
you want
I'd
3
like to do.
votes.
Yes, the first
Okay,
one would
hold
be,
on.
a I have it right here written down for you.
well, I have to write it down.
I know, I'm
So
gonna
hold
give
on
it to
one
you.
second, please.
So pull those 6 so that we can vote on the rest.
Right, the rest would be a consent.
And then the rest are done.
And then the other 6 are up for discussion after we approve, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
What is the amount of pavers?
$1,875.
And Geske is 6307.59 and 17 what?
$479.05.
So it's 15,926 and how much cents, I'm sorry?
I didn't have any cents in
Yeah,
there.
you just had it even.
So we have a motion to approve. $79,773.70.
Okay.
If I did
Motion
my
to-
math correct.
So I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda of the bills less the 6 we pulled to a sum to equal what you either stated or corrected math would show.
Did you round these off? I've got a different number. I'm sorry, I have to pull the bills.
I can't do it without seeing it.
What's the tractor company?
Tractor Supply Company for the 12 fescue trees.
Is it on the credit card?
It's on
Yes,
the credit card?
yes. So are the Kirbyville benches. My numbers come from notes as I was reading the bills, so if there's a decimal point that needs to be added.
And there is on at least one of them so far. Let's see, tractor on the credit cards. Okay, where is it?
I would assume they're on credit cards because you have.
I got it.
Vouchers. So it's a total of 39,709.42 For the two of them together.
for all 1, 2, 3,
39,708.
4, 5, 7 of them.
Actually, 6.
And I'm going to do my math one more time because this is a phone. I don't know how kids type with their thumbs, but I can't do it. So the motion is to approve 79,776.92.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the consent bills as exhibited for $79,776.92.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
Call the vote.
Call the vote, please.
Johanna Donahue,
Yes.
Rod Parrish.
Yes.
Karen Sinus,
Yes.
Tim Parrish.
Yes.
Lita Drain,
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to pull the Geske bills out that were held and retained and vote on those individually, which the two bills were summarized as $23,786.64. Make a motion that we pay those two bills.
That, you made the motion, right?
Yeah.
Second.
wait a second,
So we've got another motion to pay the two Getzke bills. 17,479.05 plus 6307.59. 23,786.64.
you said that number again.
23,786.64. Second motion,
I second.
discussion, comments?
Just a call vote.
You don't really have to abstain though, do you?
I'm gonna choose to.
Okay.
It'll still pass.
Right.
I just wanna make sure that there's,
Whenever
Nothing.
you're ready, Joni, vote please.
Johanna Donahue,
Yes.
Rod Parrish.
abstain.
Karen Sinus,
Yes.
Tim Parrish,
Yes.
Lita Drain.
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, I make a motion for the additional four bills that were all allocated to the proposed park at Wagner Road, which you got a new number with decimal points for me,
15,922.78.
922.78.
What's your motion?
My motion is to pay the $15,922.78.
Second.
Discussion?
I'm gonna vote no.
Okay, part of this discussion, Scott wasn't sure if he could make it. He will be here momentarily, but I had him write an opinion. Our obligation with the bills, if there's a line item and there's money in the line item, it's our obligation to pay it. That's what the code reads. We are auditors. The budget's in place, the levy's in place.
Yup, and, Jim, what's his attorney's name?
Kelly.
Jim Kelly scolded us for trying to trim his budgets, saying that everything that Mike has in his budget, he deems life safety. And building parks is not in the township code for the road commissioner. He can't build a park, he can't put the amenities in, any of that stuff. he cannot build a park.
When it's
He
part
approached
of
us
a
to-
but did you talk to him on why he's built a park?
It doesn't matter, when he told us he needed the money to buy it, he never said a park, he said he needed it for Nunda Township Road District.
It's part of the
Erosion.
intergovernmental agreement in the contract with the people he got the land from.
And I would have believed that also, but I know that Lakemore agreed to that because they were getting new storm sewer.
Does it matter why they agreed to it? He got the property, it was part of the contract with the property. Not with Lakemore, it's with the people he bought, purchased the property from. And the cost of the park and the property is less, still less than what that property should have cost him.
Okay?
Right.
The reason he told us he needed it is for drainage, for Nunda Township Road District.
Right,
I
The
don't believe
property.
that to exist.
the property.
No, but he tied on to additional storm sewer that went up the road. It wasn't specifically for that property, he changed and mitigated water from farther up west on Wegner Road. Quite
We
a
have-
distance.
We have a, motion of this bills for a park that was built, that was part of a contract to get some property. Conditions of getting the property for $25,000.
I couldn't find the minutes because they were not posted on the website. They're listed as they're in there, but you can't click on them. And I couldn't find it on YouTube. Our meetings were ahead for him, what he said that day. And we're all here, and anybody heard anything different? I heard, I need the parcel for additional stormwater drainage for Nunda Township Road District.
Okay,
Not to mitigate the site itself, because why would you buy it then? Why would we have any concern in a property in the village of Lakemore that's zoned industrial? Why would we buy it only to do storm sewer work on it? He's doing storm sewer work that's exiting out into the park. He went all the way up Wagner Road almost to the public works and ran new storm sewers.
I know,
And then it
that's,
exits in the park, and then it goes in a swale and runs out the back, and that's when Condon got involved with all the stormwater and the marshlands and the IDNR and everything.
that's beyond my knowledge of why, how. All I know is,
When we first started talking about this park, and I said, we should not own a park, there's no reason the road district should own a park. I said, there's gotta be something else involved here that he needs that piece of property, that he's building a park. Because we don't need a park, there's only three
he's got a
houses out there.
contract of, that's, the part of the park was to get the land at $25,000.
Okay,
That's how we got it for that cost.
okay, why did he buy the land though?
I don't know.
He told us it was for road district, for the road district additional compensation to get water mitigated off road district roads. We don't own any roads over there. Those are all owned by the village of Lakemore. He bought the piece of property in the village of Lakemore that was zoned industrial and then did storm sewer work as an exit point for water that came farther up from the west. And then even the blueprint shows it. It's storm pipe going all the way up to the west, going up to there, and then exits in the park, and then he cut a swale through the park.
So I don't understand. So you're saying it's not road district, it wasn't necessary? What are you saying?
I am saying it was not necessary for anything to do with the road district, because we don't own any land, any roads out there. Is the village of Lakemore in Nunda Township? Yes. Is there any Nunda Township plowed, maintained roads over there? No.
Scott?
I'm not familiar with the parcel, or the transaction. I wasn't involved in the purchase.
All right.
So I don't know why he purchased
I don't either.
it, and I've never talked to him about it, so.
Scott, I know you're here to tell us what you believe is the right thing to do according
I'm
to
just-
township law, but
I don't
I'm gonna tell,
I don't know anything about it or how it came about. So is he, when was it purchased?
9/21.
Okay.
At the time of purchase, I assumed it had something to do with the Lily Lake Road, and I thought it was to do with drainage off of Lily Lake Road, because we were redoing Lily Lake Road with the state and had a bunch going on. So that I remember when this all came about, I was like, okay, I didn't really think about it, and then now that I think about it, if Wagner Road isn't maintained by Nunda Township and it's a Lakemore Road, why are we buying property and doing such improvements to it if it's not a Nunda Township?
And the only reason I looked into this is because the people from Steuben Woods, after they got run over, said, there's gotta be something going on funky with the IDNR. There's gotta be some kind of horse trading going on, that's why they're getting this path and this parking lot, because somehow Nunda Road District is getting some kind of benefit from water runoff. So if you look at the first page that I have in the packet there is a red box in Wagner Road all the way to the west side. It's a,
First page,
it's
I'm
a,
on the first page.
I don't have a
it looks like this. The map.
Those are the townhouses with the pond.
Those are the townhouses. Those were developed by Stan Rock Development, and they were sold to Wally and Karen Tynes in September of 2010 for $100,000.
Then we bought 3 of them.
Okay, and you sold them for 2015 for $200,000.
Right. Well, whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I sold them off one at a time.
All right,
Yeah.
currently they cannot build on there because there's no stormwater retention available for the new buildings to be built, is what I was told by the next
Oh,
owner.
the vacant ones, you mean?
Correct.
Okay.
That the pond is too full, and they can't figure out a way to mitigate more water out of there. So if you turn to the second page, there's a picture of the pond, completely full. The owner of the property asked the IDNR, can I run my overflow pond to the southeast into your IDNR marshland that's there? Greg Kelly told them specifically no. So the only way for the water to go out of that pond would be to the northeast. So you see the townhouses there, you turn the corner, the rest of the parcels, which are the parcels that you sold, Mrs. Tynes.
Right.
If you notice, that's going up Wagner Road to Lily Pond Road, or Lily Lake Road, whatever it's called there.
Yeah, Lily Lake.
Okay, you look at the blue arrow, all that water's coming towards the pond. There's no way to make the pond bigger because they're pinned against the townhouses,
Right.
okay? So you can't put a pond up the hill and pump it up to it, everything has to go down. So those lots aren't buildable until the pond is made bigger. Well, the pond can't be made bigger due to the stormwater conditions that have changed and the ordinance have changed. And this is what the developer told me that he has found out, that he can't build until the current owner of the subdivision figures out a way for that water to go. So if you turn to the next page, that's Wagner Road. And if you see at the west side, Wagner Road pitches all the way down to the east, and the arrow stops at the new flared end section of our park. So if you turn to the next page, you can see the park, you can see the cattails where the water exits. Then through Jim Condon's engineering, that water runs beyond the park and runs out of the marshland of the DNR. And that was all approved through stormwater because they were just mitigating water. So you turn the page again, you look at the gazebo, you see the IDNR has everything behind it there. I believe the park was built to mask the fact that the water that needs to come from that subdivision on Wagner Road comes down the brand new Lakemore storm sewer that was built by our road district and exits right in the corner of that park. I think that park is a ruse. I think it was pulled, the wool was pulled over our eyes, and it's masking the fact that the water from the Wagner Road property up on Lily Pond is running down the new storm sewer and coming out that flared end section, runs around the brand new gazebo that's there as just a show pony, and then filters out in the DNR. And I think it was all approved because when it finally got through the planning parts, it was put up as a park. Well, now the park is masking the fact that now we're running the water from the west side of Wagner Road all the way down through Lakemore and exiting out into the property that the road district bought for road district drainage, is what we were told. None of us in this room were ever told it was a park. So if you turn the page, again, you have the Wagner Road Jim Condon drawings. That's the front page. The next page, I flipped it over, and you can see I blew up the legend that's on the blueprint, and you know how to read this, Mrs. Tynes. He purchased the land, we agreed to purchase the land on 9/21. He was already designing the park on 7/20 of 2020. So a year ahead of when he asked us for the money, or that he needed it to do this, he was already designing a park. So he had a plan way before he came to us of why he needed that land, and he specifically told us it was for road district drainage. It's not. It's to mitigate the property all the way to the west. And do you know who owns the property, Mrs. Tynes? The subdivision?
which stuff,
The big red subdivision around where your properties were?
No.
It's Mike Lesbrandt's.
no,
Yes. The tax record is Mike Lesbrandt's owns the subdivision.
on these,
Yes, he can't turn the subdivision over until it's built out at least 65%, so he
He-
still owns it.
well,
It's on the tax record.
but I used to own all
Yeah.
those 6 vacant lots.
Right, but you own the lots, you don't own the subdivision. The
Oh, you
subdivision
mean like
is rec-
so he never, like the formal association, he
He
never.
can't do it because it hasn't been built out far enough.
Um, I mean, I used to go to meetings, he was never a part of them. I never researched,
He owns the block. You guys own the individual.
well, we don't
parcels.
anymore, but
No,
yeah.
I know, I'm just saying that. They are individual pins all the way along there, and then the macro, he owns the subdivision. It's
The
still
com,
under.
like the common area.
Yes, it's still under Michael A. Lesbrandt's as owner.
But
He
that
pays
should
like
be, that should
$8
be,
taxes.
but that should be that should be common area of the associate, there isn't a,
Not till it's built out past like 65%. He still owns it till that point, till he can turn it over to a homeowners association.
well, there is a homeowners association though, and they
They
all pay
can't-
dues.
Correct, but they can't build any more until the subdivision has figured out a way for compensatory water storage.
Well, I
Which
don't-
it won't fit, because the pond is pinned all the way to the low side of the property. But unfortunately, the stormwater rules have changed.
Well, I think that's something that the association probably should have taken care of that they didn't. He has no part of that association. I mean, it's
I'm aware
common
that He
area.
owns the subdivision, but they can't build, the crop development can't build until the stormwater.
But I think that's like an error. Like, I think that was like an oversight, like kind of thing.
The problem is stormwater has changed since the crop development brought it from you and now trying to get permit.
Right.
According to the Village of Lakemore, they cannot until the stormwater on that property has been resolved.
Well, that.
So
was
you look at that
zoned for
pond there
townhouses.
at Wagner Road, and there's, right where the G is in Wagner Road is the flared end section. And it runs all the way down and ties into Nunda Township's new stormwater they put in parallel to Wagner Road and exits into our new park. I've told the same story to the state's attorney, he says, I'd love to look at it. Therefore, I'm voting no on any more money spent on that park.
We didn't actually, I mean, he just had a line item in his budget in 2021 to purchase his property, which he purchased.
Under the pretense it was for Nunda Township road drainage. That's all he said it was for. Obviously Condon knew in 2020 it was a park was gonna be put in there, or that's what the two of them dreamed up, I don't know.
I think this is kind of like out of our,
I would agree too, and that's why I said, I knew there was something going on, because why would we buy that piece of land in Lakemore that's zoned industrial to put a park in? And I said that the first time, I said, I don't like the fact that we're voting on this money being spent there, because I do not agree with it. We are a road district, not a park district. The township can own parks, we own Nadia Sherwood Park over here, it's got a giant pile of mulch on it. What's considered the supervisor's office is a park up there that's stacked with culverts.
right.
Aren't there currently zoning issues going on right now too with the said park, that they don't have proper zoning right now?
Correct, it's zoned industrial. He went back after our meeting, when I first brought this up on 10/26, he went back and asked for a as-built building permit, because the building department there said, we have no inspections of anything you did here. This, this could all be non-compliant, I could make you rip it all down. He says, and this is zoned in I3 or whatever. He says, you can't build a municipal park in an industrial setting. So he also asked for an accelerated rezoning argument.
Did he get it?
Not as of yet. I've asked over and over, how many Nunda roads are out there? There's none. It is in Nunda Township, but it's not, it's Lakemore.
I don't know. It's off Wagner Road. It's
No, I meant on the map.
Oh, it's farther down the east.
here.
Wagner Road all pitches down, it's gotta fall 10 feet the whole way down the road.
I'm not familiar with the area.
This all started from me looking into Stupid Woods, so I said, that I even quoted it on when we spoke, I said, it's like an onion, I'm starting to open up and I'm not finding what I like. And unfortunately, I work 65-hour work weeks and I don't have a chance to get everything dead nuts right on, but I'm letting you know what I'm seeing. I think the road district commissioner is pulled a ruse on us, and he's using it for self-benefit of what he's doing. And what's gonna happen is if he can get Lakemore to approve that water to spill out into the storm sewer with the understanding it exits onto road district property, the only person that is the gatekeeper of that flared end section is Mike Lesbrand's. He can approve that water coming onto our property, and at that point, I think he's either gonna turn the park over to the town, us, or he's gonna turn it into the village of Lakemore and say, congratulations, you got this
He's got no
beautiful park.
intention of turning it over to anybody.
Okay, well, who controls the water going onto the property? Mike. Mike can say, yeah, I'll welcome that water. I don't know who the owner is. The pipe next to that pond exits in our park. Brand new.
What's the bill?
No, I don't know, 15,922.78.
What's it for?
Pavers,
Some concrete.
equipment, or the park equipment,
Benches.
yeah, and I don't remember, what was Tractor Supply,
Bunch of trees.
trees?
This is the end of it, Scott. I mean, we put that monster gazebo in and all this concrete and other stuff, and the whole time, I know I was saying, no, we shouldn't be doing this. And I probably should have stomped my feet the first day and said, I mean, he built it without inspections and without proper zoning.
Yeah, I just.
But that's beyond us too, right? I mean, that's just his,
Well, I think it's also who you talk to at Lakemore.
It's also people at the stormwater management up at P&D, the county.
Stormwater management, Lakemore has an obligation to enforce if they're certified with a stormwater management ordinance, and if they're not certified, then they have an obligation to go to the county and ask them to review and approve any development.
Does anybody else here agree that he told us it was Nunda Township Road District drainage needed? When he asked for the purchase of the land, and he brought us two little slivers, a little triangle.
I don't recall.
I think I
I thought it was tied into Little Lake Road. We were so busy with that, and it doesn't have anything to do with that project, sadly.
No, and we agreed to go ahead and purchase it under that pretense, and he bought it on 9/21. But like I said, he started in 7/20/20, already designing a park and stormwater improvements.
Yeah, the county reviewed this, this is not Lakemore.
Anyways, I'm gonna call the question
'cause,
and call the vote. And
So what,
wait, I still have some questions.
Yeah,
So, this was all done in 21, and, yeah. And so the property was like listed like for 250,000 or something, and instead he got it for 25,000, and listed in the contract was that he builds this park.
who gave the value of the property though? It's marsh.
Well, that's
It's
great, see?
unbuildable. Yeah, it's unbuildable.
But I think that's what that's what they wanted, and then
Wasn't the
he,
intergovernmental agreement?
no, this was from the owner of the property, so instead of getting, so this is just what
Sure.
when I called, this is the information I got. So, it was put into his contract, and so instead of like 250,000, now it's only 25, build a park. The park is still way under, but because that purchase was done in 2021, and it was part of his budget like at that time, I mean, the contract's legally binding, right?
yes, I would presume. I haven't seen the contract. I didn't know anything about this until really recently. So I didn't,
If you look at your first map where the pond is.
Right.
The next property to the east is the IDNR's equestrian park.
Right,
Park.
yeah,
On Wagner Road,
yes,
in the industrial park.
yes.
with a parking lot and everything.
Yes,
It's a flat piece of grass.
with a little gate, yeah.
There's no place in there, other than Mr. Condon's drawings from 2020, that we were never made aware of when we were told we were buying the property in 2021, that there was gonna be a gazebo and a parking lot put in there. There is a park on the rotary, so it's not like they needed another park. What we needed is an exit point for the water.
Right, which is what I thought was why we were purchasing.
Right.
But I just, my point is, I don't want a lawsuit, so like,
Well, I would presume that the contract had a provision that said that the park construction survives closing and is an obligation to be built. I don't know,
Is a park just a piece of land that's open to the
Park
public?
is part of the blueprints.
you're not gonna believe this, but
Can I
I've
see?
been dealing with, you can even know, I've been dealing with this in the village of Lakewood. Why is this a park and why isn't it a park? And who calls it a park? So, yeah, there's no real good answer to that question, because you can declare it a park, I guess. If he's, it may not be, a park may not be a permitted use in that zoning district. You don't usually have parks in industrial.
Right, it's
So-
zoned I3.
Yeah, so that's a true, that's pretty universal, and, I would, the village had to have known that this was going on if he was out there constructing
They
stuff.
do know it was going on, this is part of the plan.
Well, I think the county, it says per agency review in that blow up, and so that indicates to me that the county's, the stormwater agency reviewed it, not the village's attorney. But this is the first I've seen any of this, so I don't know for a fact, but that's what it would indicate to me. So,
but if you did it improperly, that's a lawsuit. Stormwater or someone is going to have with them as opposed to us.
well, presumptively, the plans were approved ultimately for the stormwater part. If there were other reasons why it was built, which is what we're hearing, that's for another tribunal that you folks. So, I don't know.
Scott, if you were to mitigate the water on a separate piece of property, wouldn't it be contained to the property and then an exit point?
That's what the stormwater ordinance says.
Right. He made an entrance point that came off of Lakemore. I can't remember how many hundreds of feet of pipe he put in that came all the way down Wagner Road.
Yeah.
Started by the Public Works building, because it was already tied in there, went through the IDNR, went down to Public Works, and then from Public Works, it went all the way to this project, turns right, and then heads out in the IDNR. And like I said, the only person that can control the water that goes through that flare down section right now is Mike Lesprance. So, this is way over our heads, and I'm gonna continue to say no, I will not vote to put any more money in that park. Because it's not a park, it's a ruse to hide the exit point of the water for personal benefit for Mike Lesprance on his private subdivision that can't get any more building permits until it's resolved. The pond is at the lowest end, there's no more room to make it any bigger. So if anybody's anything else, I call the question again.
I
Call the vote.
don't wanna call a vote yet. I don't understand stormwaters.
Well, wait, what, are we at all his bills? Or
No, just we had 3 motions.
Okay, so where are we at?
Consent is done.
Just, there's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Anything that has to
pertain
do with the park, 4 bills. are
That's all
Totaling
that's left.
$15,922.78.
Okay.
Most of them are on credit card, and my concern is they're just gonna go through somehow else. They're gonna, the payment will be a different bill somewhere in there on a credit card.
What do you mean?
I figure he'll find another way to get it paid.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody here can answer the questions that were raised.
No, I know that, but now you know all why since Steuben Woods started, and everyone kept saying there's something going on, I started looking. Where's the benefit of working with the IDNR? Well, it's not. Greg Kelly from the IDNR told Les Brands himself, you are not running that overflow pond onto our property right next door. So it can't go south, which is the way it wants to go. So they have to contain it and run it by pipe all the way down till they can find an exit point, which is the Fritzky property, Fritzky Family Heritage Park. That was built without proper inspection in the wrong zoning. But Lakemore loved the pipe because it solved a couple other issues just past Public Works,
Yeah.
which isn't Nunda Roads.
You're coming back in 2 weeks at this point.
Do what?
You're coming back in a couple of weeks.
Well, Mike, I just kind of figure if we don't do this, he's gonna hit us with a lawsuit. I mean, that's my guess.
Well, I don't, I mean, there's questions that have been raised, that can be raised to him, and he can address. I would ask the questions to him, say, these are why the bills aren't being paid, tell us why they're not being paid. Or tell us why this work was necessary and part of the township's road district's, functions, and then see what he says.
Right. I would like to see how Joni recorded it the day of, when his comment of why we had to purchase it. And like I said, it's not available in the minutes because they're not online. What?
I can pull minutes,
Okay.
if that's what you're asking me
Sure.
to do.
Can you email them to all of us, Tony?
Yeah,
I would just,
but can I ask a question? It's my understanding that it is not the board's duty to decide if it was a good idea or not. It's to audit these warrants, and so these warrants are here. Regardless if you think it's a good idea or not,
that's not what he said, that's not what he said.
What is it?
I think what he said was that it wasn't an appropriate purpose, which is part of the function,
That is part of the function?
yeah.
okay, so this is my question. So, do we have a motion for these bills? I've gotten lost.
We're still in discussion.
We're still in discussion, not to approve yet.
So, I mean, it, as well vote, doesn't mean you can't vote on it again if you answers to the questions.
What questions?
I think the general question is, what benefit did this have to the road district?
Correct.
Could you summarize everything you said tonight?
Yeah,
Like in an
she was
email?
recording it, so you'll be able to.
Oh, yeah, I
hear
go
it all.
back, yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Yeah.
I've never,
I'm
it's been a
trying to
while
be
since I
clear.
watched one of these.
I'm trying to be
No, it's a
clear, and
lot of information,
Right.
like, all at once.
Well, it kept opening up to me, and it just, the more it kept peeling it apart, the more it was sickening. I mean, could it be true? Sure. Could it not be true? Sure. Well, let's figure it out before we start spending more money in a park that
What,
none of us wanted.
figure out what's true and what's not.
First, let's see the minutes from that night.
No, can you just answer that question and then we'll get the minutes? Cause I'm having trouble processing this cause I don't know drainage. So figure out what's true and what's not. When you just said that.
I think it was told to us that it was for Nunda Township Road District drainage. Every road out there is the village of Lakemore. It has nothing to do with our road district. We were told that these pieces of land were discounted and we would be able to buy them cheap and it would solve a problem for the road district. It doesn't seem that way. And we were never told about a park. We were never showed the plans. The plans were drawn before he ever asked us to buy the parcel.
But does he have to ask us? He doesn't have to ask
I
us.
have to ask you if it was a budgeted item, but there's gotta be a complete plan set that shows up this. And there was certainly a contract, if that's what
There's an intergovernmental agreement,
With who?
Lakemore,
Oh,
and a contract with Friskies.
okay. Well, it's all available, it's public records. So there's answers to the questions, so at this point, might as well ask Mike for the answers to the questions and see what he says.
It's all gonna start with what he told us the use of the parcel was.
Yeah. I mean,
I can make one more comment. Minutes are not verbatim. So you might wanna outline what Karen was asking you to outline, what your thoughts were. Or questions?
Well, but I can go back and listen to this tape,
Okay.
cause I'm gonna need to hear it more than once.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we weren't filming in 21 either, were we? Oh, we were?
Yeah, 'cause we were doing it with Lee. Lee started the camera.
Right. Well, if it's out there, then we'll hear exactly what Mike said.
All right. But I just wanna make it clear that the purpose of the minutes is a snapshot of the business that took place during the meeting, so they're not verbatim.
Yeah.
If you have questions.
Or
you
they'd be
might wanna
really
write 'em
long.
down. Yeah.
it may not include the same exact language that you remember as what you're saying. Right?
No, it's not verbatim.
No.
It's if the minutes
But
are
if
not to be
there's-
taken
right,
word
but
for word.
There's a recording.
So technically, Tractor Supply and Kirby Belts are paid because they're on the credit card. So those went through. We just haven't
Well,
paid the credit card bill.
The check would be changed, the amount would be changed to exclude and that balance would keep forward and finance charges would continue
Yeah,
on it.
accrue.
All right.
Materials are on a credit card.
Some, yeah.
They were
Some of the-
special
the
order benches and
equipment,
stuff, so they.
that was
probably
the
go up the check.
benches and, yeah, and the trees are on there. And then we've got,
It's actually paid.
what?
It's actually paid.
Well,
Yeah.
it is, but it's not, cause it's not gonna be paid, it's just gonna be a balance going forward.
Well, it's on,
But it's paid.
it's paid.
Right.
It's-
Yeah, yes.
So, I think the best solution is to, if the board is inclined not to approve it and wants more information, to come back in a couple of weeks and hopefully have the answers to the questions. If you don't have answers, then we'll have to figure that out too.
And if there is a suit filed, is that something you can represent, or do we have to get another attorney again?
There's enough time to, you get another meeting in between probably. I don't know anything about this, so I haven't been involved. So I don't know,
But do we have to get another attorney like we did before?
maybe I did work for them in the past, but I haven't talked to them in a while. I did work on the Lily Lake Road stuff, and I don't know anything about this.
Okay. All right, any other discussion?
I'm just curious, your thoughts, Lita?
I don't want a lawsuit.
I don't.
I'd like more elaboration on your thoughts. We've kind of opened up here and
This is way beyond me. All right, the information I have shows he has approval. The points you're making, I'm gonna have to listen again, because I just don't have the knowledge to make an opinion. I personally don't think Mike would try and do anything like this. I just don't see it.
All he needs to show us is on the video where he's told us was the park, because I never heard him say park, I heard him say needed it for Nunda Township Road District drainage. Which I thought, well, maybe we have a couple sliver of roads out there I'm not aware of that.
But he doesn't have to let us know everything. He doesn't. The Steuben Lane, he
He
didn't have
told
to
us
let
what
us
the
know.
reason for the purchasing of the property was.
Right, and that's where I don't understand if what you're saying versus what he's saying, that if I can't see him doing something that wouldn't be beneficial to Nunda.
Then he needs to prove that. Where was the
Right,
Nundas?
right.
Where-
Well, you
where-
asked my opinion.
Right.
I'm giving you my opinion.
Well, I'm just telling you what.
And I don't understand the drainage.
Okay.
You know, I have what you're saying, I've had what he's told me, I've seen the contract, I've seen the blueprints, I've seen the intergovernmental agreement. I don't understand drainage whatsoever. You could tell me till you're blue in the
That's
face.
fine.
So what has he told you why he built the park?
Because it was part of the contract with the Fritzies, to get that property for $25,000.
Was the stormwater in that contract too?
I don't know.
And I would like to know if the park design was already done by that time, which obviously it was. It was 2020 is when he first.
Well, we don't know when he started negotiating with them,
I understand that, but he was already thinking park.
because was getting the land.
Correct.
right.
Which was well over 14 months prior.
But we
to
don't know when
asking
he was
us.
talking to them about the land. We know when it was
Correct.
purchased,
Correct. But he was already designing a park before we ever agreed to purchase it.
before he brought it to the board.
Okay.
He doesn't need our approval for that portion of that, or for what he does.
That's right.
But if he tells us it's for one thing and it turns out to be something else.
But
Right,
even if
but
he,
But was it, you know, you're alluding that it was intentional, and
There was no benefit to the road district to put all that pipe in going all the way up Wagner Road.
maybe he
We don't have any
he
roads
could
there.
think differently,
That's great.
you
That's
know?
right.
That's his duty as road commissioner to make those decisions,
Right.
not this board's.
Right, right, but he cannot go into an incorporated Lake Moore and start ripping up storm sewers for the benefit of himself.
Yes, I don't see,
So,
I
if we
honestly,
can just figure out what he said to us at that meeting, this may be all done. He may have said, you know what?
but I don't understand how that factors into what he said at the meeting, decides this.
cause it was still his budget and it was still a line item, that's the hard thing to get around, like,
What do you mean?
if he says he needs it for roads or whatever, that's like his call, and
Right.
and he was within his budget.
Right, but what he said could have been in the works, it could have changed, it could have, I mean, I don't think that's the decisive factor here. Because it is, the road commissioner has full discretion of how he feels the roads and the projects he does are done.
Right, and I don't believe he can build parks because he's not a park district or he's not a taxing levy.
But that's
for the-
part of the agreement to get the property.
Which is.
If he could get a property at a lower rate to build a park, and the cost is still under what it would have cost him for the property, then yeah, it was a good deal.
I question what the value of the property was. It was the last one in the industrial subdivision that was all marsh, that was unbuildable.
I'm not an estimator,
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean,
I don't think you're gonna get an answer tonight.
Right.
clearly,
I mean, I called the question, Scott, so that means we have to call the vote.
Right.
So let's just make the vote and we'll see what
I'm
happens. If we-
answering what was proposed to me.
Yeah, I had asked her,
Yeah.
you need to elaborate.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
So the discussion is continued. So is there any other discussion? Or questions or comments?
you had said, Lita, something earlier, like when I asked you to elaborate, that you see that he has proper permits and everything to do this. You had said something to the effect of,
I didn't say permits, I saw agreements. I know the mayor has given him every red light or green light to go forward, and the village administrator is not the person to be talking to at Lakemore, it's the mayor.
how about the building inspector?
I don't know that. I just know the village administrator and the mayor just are conflicted in opinions here, and then the mayor oversees that, and he's given Mike the okay.
I'd like to hear what Scott's guidance would be here. I mean, did you say to wait a couple of weeks to get more answers, questions answered and?
Questions have been raised as to whether this is an appropriate township, road district expense. And there's no harm in
Well, there's a little bit.
Well,
We know he's not gonna take this, you know. I'm with Karen in the thought of a lawsuit.
Well, in all candor, he should answer the questions that have been raised.
Right.
So he really needs to answer the questions.
Right?
And so he's not here to answer those questions. So
He doesn't need to be.
he doesn't, right, he doesn't have, there's no obligation for him to be here. And I think everybody agrees that, but at some point, if the board has questions, they should be asked to him and he should answer them. And then if he,
Have you ever considered calling him? And I don't have the knowledge to ask the questions you're asking. Why haven't you called
I specifically
him?
reached out to the road district when, was it Trish and Paul Myers were in here about the big pond in the front of their garage and concerns about slipping and falling in the ice, and I sent an email to the road district asking them to please look into it. And according to Mrs. Myers last week, nobody ever got a hold of her. And I asked him nicely, "Can you please go look at it so this lady doesn't slip and fall on one of her grandchildren?"
You sent it to Casey and me.
I sent it to, yeah, I think I did. And I thought it was pretty
You
polite.
didn't send it to Mike.
Well, I know there's only one highway department email.
Right,
But
but
that's a separate
that again,
subject.
yeah, that is a separate issue. That, I think you should have called him direct, personally.
I was hoping he would be here tonight and he could answer everything right away. And I was hoping to see where the minutes
Did
or
you
see
really
the
think he
video.
was gonna be here tonight?
It's just about him. All right,
Tim, anything else?
Just going back to our attorney.
where's not comfortable paying the bills with the information that you have right now? And you can try and get that information.
Anything else?
Real quick, you said the permits, going back to it, they were not approved or it was not inspected, so all of that's still up in the air, if they can be able to keep it.
correct.
I have to talk to the mayor.
Yeah, the mayor says.
So
And after,
there's-
and after acquired or an after the fact permit, the granted lot, this looks like it's open so they can see it. And I don't know, if he's got receipts from the concrete, this, then he provides receipts and this is how thick the concrete was and this is what we did, so
what about for the rezoning?
that's another,
He also asked for rezoning the same date.
that's a public, that requires a public hearing. And then before a plan commission or zoning board of appeals and then to the village board for approval. Where's the intergovernmental agreement say? I don't even,
I
does it
skimmed
have anything
it.
about the park or anything?
I'd have to read it
It was
again.
listed park on it, that's all it said was park. But it's about the changes in the diameters and the pipe
Pipes,
coming
okay.
down
Okay.
Wagner Road.
I just
I
thought
don't
maybe
get
they
any
would
of
have
that.
already tacitly approved the park as part of that, but I don't know.
What did you just say?
They may have said that as part of this, we'll approve a park. They
The
can-
park is on the plans with the drainage
Okay.
approved by them.
I don't know,
Yeah.
this is,
No, well, you saw him.
the extent of my knowledge is basically here.
I saw
So,
the blueprint.
Right.
I don't
Is that what it's
know.
called when it's,
Yeah.
So the plans, they may have approved the plans, and if they did, they knew a park was coming, so
they knew the park was coming for sure.
probably. But I don't have any information, so,
I mean, it says right here.
Asked you to define park.
well, and this is a problem because
I
there
mean,
is no.
a marsh of cattails could be a park.
And actually dealing with this in 3 communities now, so there's a place where somebody referred to vacant land as a park and nobody used it.
Sure. Any kind of
Well,
open
my
space.
backyard is, at the office is a park.
So I think you're not gonna give her
No,
tonight,
no.
so I think what we can try and do is get some answers to the questions and get them out there.
Anything else?
Well, I recommend that all of us contact Mike.
All of us what?
contact Mike between now and the next meeting then.
I think that's a great idea.
Why can't we have him come here and tell us all one time, because we're each gonna have a different description or a
Well,
different,
Yeah, we can ask.
I think it'd be better to do it as a group, so we're all on the same page and we all know what the same answers are.
we hear the same thing.
We hear the same thing.
I'm sure we'd hear the same thing individually too. Anything else?
So if he files a lawsuit tomorrow, we still have enough time.
Well, you could, yeah, you could file a lawsuit tomorrow, you have 30 days to answer, otherwise plead after you're served, but you could ask for an injunction, but I don't know that this would get you an injunction.
And we need another attorney.
Maybe.
It's gonna be 29 days for our next meeting,
What's that one?
December 14th.
December 14th, yep.
I was thinking it was last,
No, we just had one last week.
okay. No, I just was thinking it was the last holiday, I thought it was compressed. Well, it doesn't. He's not gonna be able to file a lawsuit tomorrow, but, I think it would be a better use of everybody's effort rather than running to court, but then to get some answers to the questions that have been raised.
I don't even know what questions to ask. Anything else? You ready? Whenever you're ready.
Joanna Donahue?
What are we voting on? What are we voting on right now?
We're voting, okay, so there's motion to vote on approving the 4 bills relating to the gazebo in the amount of 15,000, I have too many notes, 15,922.78.
So we're taking, we're not gonna put a motion on the table for,
Oh, can we do that?
Do what?
I was wondering, with Scott's recommendation, he said to wait, but that, obviously, we're at
I
29
don't
days.
think we can't wait, we have to at least vote on it.
You can table. And if you wanna just withdraw the motion and put it on the agenda at the next meeting, you can. We can't get all drilled down into procedure. I mean, if you wanna wait, you can wait. If you wanna vote it down, there's no prohibition of it coming back to a subsequent meeting to vote on it again.
I think it's the best way to try to table it. Maybe he wants to answer some of these questions and we can avoid a lawsuit unless you know something else that he's got grounds to sue us tomorrow.
Well, either
I'd like
way,
to
he's
not
got
get sued.
grounds to sue us tomorrow. His bills aren't paid, he's got vendors not paid, right?
Look, the board has a right to ask questions. And he
Right.
can sue, and if he goes to court and says, they asked questions, I didn't go to the meeting, the court's gonna say, go back and talk to them. The judge, it's easy. The judge doesn't wanna decide, you're right, you're wrong. The judge wants people to resolve things outside of court. So if that's what happens, and whoever's representing township says, they asked legitimate questions, the guy hasn't answered them, so we just want him to answer the questions. The court's gonna say, okay, answer the questions, come back next week and tell me what the answers were. And that'll be that. So that's what will happen, guaranteed. It's not as simple as they didn't pay the bills, they've asked questions, they have a right to the answers of questions. So, and any lawyer will tell him that.
So the questions have to be asked, I'm not being facetious. The questions have to be asked.
Right.
And if some people don't care to ask directly, can you do
I'm
it
gonna
through
ask
an
him,
email?
I'll ask him.
I mean, that's what I'm
I'll
saying,
ask
can
him.
somebody
There we
else
go.
get these answers?
I'll ask him, I don't.
We all heard different reasons of why he needed the property. I believe I know exactly what I heard him say. I don't know what you heard him say at that meeting. I don't know what you know, or I know what you didn't. But you eventually heard that there was a park and there's all the other stuff that was gonna go on at that event.
I just asked in the last couple, I don't remember 2021.
I don't either.
I don't remember this being discussed at all.
I remember because.
I was just newly in this I've tried to educate myself going forward. Drainage, don't get.
Right.
You know, I try my best to know, to look at the bills, to try and see what's going on, but I,
Right. I remember when it came to us because he gave us the plats, and I thought, God, that is a funny shape. One's a little baby triangle there along Wegner Road, and the other one is this big home plate behind it. Well, the home plate behind it was all the marsh, because I drove through to look at it, and there was just a little sliver of decent land in front. And I'm like, why does he need these two parcels? How does that affect the road district at all? And then you heard it was a park. I never heard it was a park.
I recently heard it was a park, yeah, when I saw the blueprints and the agreements.
When I agreed for him to purchase the property, it was under the pretense that he needed it for road district drainage, because that's what he told us at the meeting.
And I'm sure that's what he's gonna tell us again, I would guess.
Okay. Hopefully we'll find the minutes, or we'll find it on the video, and we can see what he said.
And when he says it again, then what?
I'm gonna say that spending all this money on a park, that you're not, don't have the ability to do that.
But if it's part of the drainage for the road district,
The gazebo does what,
to get the property.
the property was overinflated by the seller, telling him what it was worth in that subdivision for that parcel of land, which I
And who's gonna,
understand.
who determines that?
We can look what the assessed value was of it.
Yeah,
So
so
it's unbuildable, it's not worth much. But now it has a drainage swale going through it, and it's out in the IDNR.
we could, like I said, this is not my forte,
I
so
understand that, let's,
we could, sit and spit
we
and
can do whatever
spat
you
all
want, we
day.
can vote no, or we can table it, it doesn't matter to me.
Table it.
I'm not
So
approving the
let's
bills.
make, someone wanna make a.
Yes, I'll make the motion, so
Wait, I'm sorry.
you're good.
So,
Yes,
Rob will withdraw,
I have
but
a motion and
We
I
have to
have a
withdraw our
second.
motion.
no, table it, you.
Well, we have a motion on to approve the 15,000.
so,
Okay,
I was
anybody
gonna
can move
move
to,
that.
anybody
So
can
we
move
need to remove that.
No.
Anybody can move to table,
Yes,
and that takes
We don't have to
precedence.
take that motion off.
no,
okay.
No.
it trumps it.
So I'll wait, whenever you're ready, Joni.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
Motion. Table. Table. Okay, it's a 10.
Yeah, so I'll make the motion to table it, remove, obviously, the vote, and table it until the next meeting.
Yeah, but I would like to really
I-
try and resolve this by the next meeting.
We need to have a special meeting, I think.
We do?
Yeah, I don't wanna wait till the next meeting. I don't
Okay.
wanna wait a month.
Okay.
Give us.
Please make sure he's available. for
Yeah,
it.
and in my statement, I like to say there's plenty of parking outside, he's welcome to come. We can be addressed as a group.
Do we wanna talk about a date? Well, we gotta vote on this
See when he's
first.
available.
See what he's-
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Yes, we do.
Joanna Dunning.
Yes.
Karen Simonds.
Yes.
Rob Parrish.
Yes, to table.
Tim Parrish.
Yes?
Rita Drain.
Yes. Motion carries. Number 6, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Johanna, Karen. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Is there a spot that the township has that has those videos of those former meetings library?
I don't know.
Vendor
I
have
will
one
call the
library?
vendor tomorrow and ask.
Okay.
I'm sorry, am I
That may
Can't
solve
you
my
just click on
problem.
YouTube?
striking that from the minutes?
Do a search? No?
This